there's no way to test if we're live unless we're live.
And guess what? You know what, Adrienne? We're live.
We're live.
So now you can test your app and make sure that people are seeing us live. GM, and we're really excited since today we have an incredible crew of builders, including Linda, which I'm very excited to chat with all of them. And this is going to be really fun. We're going to focus on Solana, which we've done once or twice before where we've actually put a focus on it. But now it's, I think, more important now that you can actually, we have mini apps, we have transactions happening, all the things are happening. So we're going to dive into all the Solana things in just a minute. But before that, we're gonna be back in just 40 seconds as we do our little intro. And thank you to our premier partner, Octant. And we'll be back in, 55 seconds. Welcome to GM Farcaster, bringing you everything from breaking news to spicy memes to the deep lore shaping this vibrant digital community. More than just a show, GM Farcaster is your digital third space where the community connects, the stories unfold, and the culture thrives. Whether you're a daily caster or just dropping by, we've got the latest buzz to keep you plugged in. So grab your coffee and let's dive in with your hosts, Nanish Prof and Adrienne, for another episode of GM Farcaster. And thank you to our premier partner, Octant. Be sure to check out all the latest at octant.app and mint your Dgens and Dragons cards at highlight.xyz. GM Farcaster. It is Wednesday, June 4th. I had to look. And you are here with Adrienne and Nanish Prof for about 5 minutes of Farcaster news, followed by an amazing chat with all the Solana builders who have been making waves on Farcaster. So this is going to be really fun. Quick, before we start, quick shout out to Toady Hawk. The fact that I'm not using a virtual background is not about you. Just letting you know. I'm not using a virtual background today.
What does it have to do with Toady?
Because he called out using virtual backgrounds and he's like, Prof's not gonna, now Prof is gonna be mad at me. And we had a little chat. We'll dive more into that on Friday. But I just wanted, I'm like, the irony is today I'm probably not using a virtual background because I am not at home. I am traveling. But yeah, so that's why. I just wanted to make sure he knew it wasn't about him. It's not about you, Toady. Although I love you, my brother. All right. Let's dive in. We are going to dive into all the things that have been happening on Farcaster really quick, and then we're going to dive into Solana. We just had our first June FC trivia game, so just want to shout out everyone who showed up. It was so fun. We had a couple little buggy things happen, but we do have some sponsorship opportunities for that starting next week. And we're really excited to be doing this. So hopefully we can keep this going consistently. It's really fun. Great way to interact with folks on the timeline and jump in and have some fun and maybe win some cash. So the winners split 100 USDC, and hopefully we'll have an even larger prize pool next week. So make sure you look for that. This from Deodad. We increased the developer rewards weekly payout from 3 to 5K. Algo also got tweaked with a focus on daily and transacting users and a boost for higher signal users, e.g. Farcaster Pro, that interact with your mini app instead of strictly how many interactions, transactions. So that's exciting news. we're seeing a lot of changes to different rewards programs, including, I wanted to do the caster reward first. The caster rewards are going up starting this week, June 3rd to June 10th, increase the recipient pool by 18% from 2,530 to 3,000. So now 3,000 different casters will be winning some rewards. Increase the prize pool by 45% from 20,000 to 29,10. I don't know who's getting that bonus $10, but okay. And changes that non-round number really bothers me, and I don't know why. We need to do something with that. Changes to tiers. Top tier is now 600. So that's crazy. The top 3 are now going to get 600. New middle tier between 125 and 30. So that's a big change. And we also saw a change to the algo that is starting this week. This is from DWR. Also, rewards algo update. We're also updating the rewards algo this week. We're no longer going to count deleted cast, reactions, recasts, or replies. So no using amps anymore to try and get yourself to the top of the leaderboard. This means in some cases, people will see scores go down midweek. We're also making a few other tweaks. Change will roll out later today. The algo is never going to be perfect, but the goal is to reward high signal top level content on the network from anyone. So look for more quote casting, less recasting and replies. Show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome. There you go. Adrienne, any thoughts on that before I move on to one last thing and we bring up our guests, or two last things? Okay.
All I'm going to say is the algo is ever changing.
Yeah.
And you can spend your entire life trying to chase it, but I want to encourage you not to do that. Just cast for yourself. There you go. Ignore the rewards will come, and that's fine. Have fun with it, but just cast for yourself.
As we've told you before, just be interesting. What is the problem?
Just be interesting. just learn how.
Just be interesting. Just be the cast you want to see in the world. There you go. This from Daniel, new mini app release. Haptics API is live. We just shipped support for haptic feedback in frames. This lets you add tactile interactions like subtle taps or success pulses when users take action in your mini app. Why this matters: haptics boost engagement by creating a more responsive experience. They're especially useful for button taps, errors, and task completion confirmations. So this is cool. And there was also a, there was also you could try it out. There was a little demo thing, which was pretty cool. I personally really like haptics. For me, it does change the experience. Like even the tipping, like that feeling when you click the weekly tipping, I like that feel. I don't know. It's just fun. So this is just a fun little nice enhancement.
Because we're monkeys.
Because we're monkeys. It's true. And we like things that feel good. And then this one last thing, new on mobile, improved wallet screen. So they moved some things around. What we changed, there was a whole bunch of different movements that happened in terms of where things are. So it might take a second just to get reoriented, but this is because of some other things that are going to be added. So they are making some changes to the wallet screen. So that is it for news today, because we have a lot of guests and we want to make sure we have a lot of time for them. Anything else that you want to say really quick, Adrienne, before we switch over that I may have missed?
Not from a news perspective.
All right. I pushed a lot of things to Friday. So if it was really funny or crazy or, I did have some schlums things. Any of that we'll get into on Friday. We might ask Linda a little bit about the schlums. Just cause. But let's bring up all of our guests. We have
that just yesterday? Was that dropped yesterday or 2 days ago?
That was like yesterday, I think, or maybe it was the day before.
That's got to be 2 days ago.
Linda and Prompt Rotator. And do we have anybody else joining? Did we have one more, or am I?
Yes. Entropy Bender.
Entropy Bender. Oh, I didn't see him. He was hiding on me. He was hiding. All right. We're not used to having this many people. It's
we're like the Brady Bunch today.
We need 3 more for a full Brady Bunch. And then I would like to be in the middle and be Alice. Thank you.
Or is it like Hollywood Squares?
It is. It's a little bit that. Okay. So where do you want to start? Let's start with some quick intros. I think that would be helpful. And then we'll dive into everything that's been happening. So let's start with Nikki. Who are you?
Who am I? Who am I today? Nikki Sapp. I'm a software engineer that built the Circus mini app for Farcaster, which is a token launcher for Solana that is tied into the social graph, obviously. So on Farcaster, it ties into Twitter's as well, but it's primarily focused as a mini app. So it's good to be here. Thanks.
Amazing. Entry vendor, Kevin, give us a little bit of who you are.
Is my mic on also?
It is.
Okay,
we
great.
hear you.
Hey, I'm Kevin, entropy vendor on Farcaster. Prom Rotator is my co-founder. We both work on Operator. We're working on various different kind of like apps right now, mostly on Solana.
Awesome. And Prompt Rotator, you're working on, go ahead.
Yeah, we didn't intend for this virtual background.
By the way, I was just going to say, you guys are in the same house, obviously working together.
No, we, I think it's just a convergent decision making. But yeah, so I'm David. Work with Kevin, and just I would say a lot of our interests are kind of agents as the like, how can we build products, agents, whatever, that like fully leverage this new both like the power of AI, power of like LLMs as they expand into the next level of consciousness, and consumer social, decentralized social is like a very interesting playground as well. So kind of building both these spaces, and Solana is like a really nice, like I would say like on-chain like marketplace for apps, for agents, all these sorts of things.
Interesting. Okay. And Linda, back again. It's been a while since we've had you on, so it's really nice to have you back, and in a very different role than last time. So give a quick little intro to everybody who may not be familiar with you.
Yeah, I'm Linda. I'm working on the developer ecosystem at Farcaster, joined like 3 months ago. Before that, when I was on the show, was working on Bountycaster with Daniel. We're still maintaining on the side, so I guess still working on Bountycaster. Excited to be here.
I have a very important question for you. How do you pronounce Daniel's handle?
Pyros B3, so it's like like fire related. Yeah.
Pyros B3. Okay. Every time I look at that, my brain just freezes and I call him Daniel.
Yeah.
And I just go, and Daniel like did this because I'm like, I can't. I don't know. I break down. So I want to start with Linda talking about bringing Solana. We've always had a Solana for a long time, not always, but we've had a Solana wallet option, but there was really nothing you could do with it. So what prompted Merkle to sort of move in this direction and start to work with builders to bring more from Solana to Farcaster?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's obvious where Solana is such a large community and filled with really high quality builders. So it felt like a missed opportunity if we weren't having a tighter integration. Yes, you can add an external address, but that's not necessarily like a big driver to come have builders start building mini apps. So we decided to add Solana support. That's also on kind of like part of the trend where we added Monad Testnet, Celo. There's another one we're launching hopefully today. So the idea is that if you're building an interesting consumer app or just app in general, that we want to be able to support you on Farcaster and getting user distribution. And Solana was like a complete no-brainer. It was our first non-EVM that we added. So we just had to like clean up all the references to EVM. And the team's really great. It was Kartik, Ashot, and Daniel who worked on the Eng side, Pearl/Blockheim on the design side, and that got powered out in about 2 weeks. So that was pretty wild to see.
Wow.
And then from there, it was just like, now we got to start getting people to build day one mini apps. So when we launch, there's things people could do. And the crew here were so kind to work on a very tight timeline of like, hey, can you build something in a week or even a few days? So they were really awesome to work with.
That's amazing.
I think, can we just shout out how good and seamless the experience is? I think I guess we had Stoic on, who works for the Solana Foundation, probably like 6 months ago. which feels like forever ago. And then that was like the impetus, I think, for me to get a Phantom wallet, attach a Solana address, which feels like years ago, but
I know.
And yeah, but from a Farcaster perspective, Linda, like in the worklet, like we have no concept as a user of like what chain anything is on, right? It's just you see Sol the same way. I also didn't even realize, like, I think people, when they were first starting to download some of the Solana mini apps, you can convert, like, I think the worklet lets you convert from like tokens on Base to Solana in the worklet. Had no idea about that. I was going through like a CEX to convert and bring Solana in. Like, didn't even realize there was that like integration. So I thought that was awesome. And I just love the idea of like when you're in Farcaster, it really doesn't matter what chain. Like the apps, like the claiming process was the same experience. So you guys did such a good job.
Yeah, team's really cracked.
I did see this note here that I just wanted to call out that you had mentioned, because I thought this was interesting. So this just shows you it took some work to really make that experience for us on this end just be seamless. It's pretty expensive for teams to airdrop Solana tokens to users that don't already have that token. You need to create a token account for each user per unique token. So you can use ZK compression built by Helios and Light Protocol to airdrop a ton of them for cheaper. This makes Solana airdrops cost efficient. And this was in relation to the new feature for Solana assets, decompression. If you receive a compressed Solana token or NFT, you can now decompress them on the assets page. So that was really cool to see as well. So from the like infra side, from the sort of what's happening behind the scenes, there's just been a lot of work that kind of went in from the Merkle team to sort of make this a more user-friendly experience for sure. So
yeah, and shout out to Nikki and Circus for working with us on the first one. So excited to run a few more of these as well.
I mean, and let's jump into that actually right now. So Circus launched was it just 2 days ago? When did it launch? Feels like forever ago. But I think it just happened.
It's been like a week. I guess we launched at Accelerate actually.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Whenever that was, which feels like 2 years ago now.
It does. It really does. So dropped the Circus app and the mini app and the token. So can you talk about what is Circus? What does it do? And then sort of your approach to working with the Merkle team to sort of bring this whole experience to Farcaster.
Yeah. So a lot of people came to Circus through our original application, which was a in-feed launcher called Jester. And so we initially launched that on X and then later on Farcaster, and we built a small community around that. And it got a lot of traction initially, and it was really fun and successful. And we had all the AIs deploying tokens and stuff like that. So we wanted to, after we saw the success of that, we were like, let's expand this to a real application. And that's kind of where Circus was born, so to speak. So similarly, it allows you to launch a token. But the key here is it ties directly into the social context. So one of the biggest issues with token launches, especially on Solana, is that you don't know who is launching it. And a lot of them are extremely extractive. We've seen, the likes of Pump Fund and some of the other platforms as well, create a situation where your users have no longevity and there's no sustainability because ultimately the tokens are launched to do one thing: pump and dump and take the money from the person who buys it. So we wanted to try to build a platform that hopefully will shift that a little bit. Even 1 degree in the right direction would be a success for us. And so Farcaster is obviously the perfect test bed for that, perfect launching ground, whatever you want to call it, because obviously the social graph is open. The APIs are extremely affordable. If you use Nanar, you can have your own, node running as well. But Linda reached out. I think you reached out to us. We had been talking to Ted and some of the other people from the Solana Foundation for a while about how we wanted to integrate into Farcaster. They were planning on doing a big push with Farcaster, so the timing was pretty kismet. And Linda was like, "Do you want to do an airdrop, you'd be the first one. And I was like, of course, we want to be the first one to do anything. So, but no, honestly, the process was incredibly seamless. You know, the team is cracked, truly. And Linda coordinating the whole thing from start to finish was extremely professional. I really have no criticism of the whole process. People definitely had criticism of the parameters that we chose. that caused.
Talk a little bit about that, if you wouldn't mind. Like,
sure.
When you're thinking about this, I'm assuming that you have a set budget. Like, here's how much we can put towards this, because you've got a lot going on. And then how do you decide, like, making your choices? And Linda, if you have any comments from other devs as well, I'd love to hear about that. So yeah, like, how do you make your decision in terms of who to airdrop?
Well, there was a lot of considerations made, and we looked at some of the other airdrops that had taken place. There was a lot of, there's a lot of success in a lot of the airdrops, and it just really depends on what outcome you want. The thing is with us, we're dropping $10,000 worth of the token to increase the number of people holding the token. That was one big outcome. And 2, get people who potentially would actually use the product to install the mini app or add the mini app on Farcaster and perhaps launch a token, trade, do something, explore at least, and create an account. So for that reason, we picked people who didn't sell their last couple of airdrops. We picked people who have used mini apps in the past and who at least had some Solana in their wallet. This stirred the pot a bit. It ruffled some feathers, whatever metaphor you want to choose for it. But at the end of the day, you have $10,000 to work with, and there's like 60,000 daily active users on the platform. Somebody's going to get left out. It just is what it is.
Yeah.
And we tried to use the best case studies that we had available in order to make that decision. And I think it really went well. People forget quickly anyway, and I think it's all good now.
Yeah. That's the biggest thing, is if you're getting a lot of criticism, just remember they'll be criticizing somebody else tomorrow. So it's okay. Just ride it for 24 hours and, something else will piss them off tomorrow. Yeah. I mean, to me, it's a very logical approach. If you have unlimited funds, great. You can give an airdrop to everybody. But if you don't, you have to make choices, and it makes a lot of sense. And I think, what's interesting is watching people play with noise in their own funds to tip people. They start to have those same thoughts, right? Because of like, how much I want to spend on a reply versus a like so I think the more people are sort of in those shoes of deciding what to do, I think it'll help to stem the criticism of teams. Linda, what are you finding as well in terms of that, while we're just sort of touching on this? Is everyone making different choices? How have people been happy with the way the airdrops have turned out in terms of their goals, and what kind of adjustments might you be making?
Yeah, so we work with every team on what they're optimizing for. So most of the teams have been, we want to guide users into the mini app. And generally you want users that are doing on-chain transactions and are using mini apps. So that is like a pretty common filter for a lot of the teams we work with. Another really common attribute has been number of followers, filtering out for spam, just because they want people talking about it too. Sol balance makes a lot of sense, especially for Solana tokens. If you're guiding users into a mini app, you want them to have fun. So I think that each team has been very thoughtful about the experience, and it's inevitable that people are going to feel left out if they didn't receive the funds. The goal is that we're going to be doing a lot of these because there's a lot of demand from teams. I actually can't even fulfill the demand right now because this is kind of my side work of doing these airdrops.
Right.
And so there's a lot of teams, and it's bringing net new money into the ecosystem. And the teams we worked with have been happy because they're getting in front of users that they're trying to optimize for. So I know there's always going to be a lot of talk about this, but we view it as just another marketing tool. People are welcome to use all kinds of different ways to distribute. And I think that's really healthy. Ours is specifically around guiding users into some flow. And so, going to keep running these. I think the things we've been thinking about is something very top of mind is maybe it's not called an airdrop. Maybe it's called something. Yeah,
little treat,
drop, mini drop,
little treat.
I've been using little treat, and I think that just it makes it easier. But anyways, so the idea is that like you have a limited budget, limited users that you can drop to. However, there's going to be so many that hopefully over time you will be receiving portion of them.
Right. That eventually, if you're active on the platform, one of these is going to find you because you'll fit the criteria of that particular user. And that makes a lot of sense to me as well. I think I have to just say again, like we talked about this before when we're talking about what Merkle's been doing, but I think also from a perspective of the builders who are putting these airdrops out and mini apps out, in terms of the flow has been fantastic. Like the Circus airdrop, you claim it drops you right into the mini app, and here's where you can do things. It's like, that's kind of what I want, like direct me and make it easy for me to use your token, or at least to understand what the use cases are. You know what I mean? In this case, it's like, okay, and here's a place where you can launch your own. Oh, cool. So that or you can swap for more or whatever, like all these different things. And I think that's super helpful. And if you're a person who's creating an airdrop and creating an experience like this, making it super easy for people to use your token or to stake your token or whatever your goal is, like just make it simple. If I'm clicking a couple times and I can do whatever the thing is you want me to do, I'm going to do it. And I'm not going to sell the token as long as it's easy for me to do that. So like, that's, to me, a win-win there. Let's switch over real quick. Oh, go ahead.
But just if there's builders in the Farcaster world that wants to do an airdrop,
they can
they slide into your DMs?
Just slide into my DMs.
I know it's your side project.
Yeah, slide into my DMs. And we're not taking a cut of this. Like, it's not like something where I'm just trying to extract a bunch of value from. Anyways,
just coordinating.
Continue on the other conversation.
It's sort of, but it's a way to get more people using mini apps though too. So it makes a lot of sense for Merkle to be invested in making the experience a great experience for the builders, a great experience for the users. It's clearly working. Also, you can see the activity on the timeline, and that it's not in small part due to these things. Because when you see something like, okay, Solana's now here, that's a whole new market of people who maybe had no interest in Base or other chains that were, things were happening. Now you've got this whole world of Solana users and builders who now are like, oh, they're doing that. That looks really cool. I'm going to go check this out. And they're they're airdropping. Wait, you're earning how much? Wait, you're getting more money today. It's like,
yes,
this happens a lot. This happens a lot on Farcaster. It might be $7 at a time, but you know what? It adds up.
Yeah, and a lot of the ones are like net new, like ones that are in conversation, like they weren't on Farcaster previously. So yeah, in the works. But I definitely want to hear from the others too.
Yeah, let's so entropy vendor prompt. Let's talk about operator. And can you tell us a little bit about what that is, why you brought it to Farcaster, like what your experience has been as well with launching a mini app on Solana on Farcaster? So wherever you want to start on that. Let's start with just like sort of an overview of what is operator and what is mint.trench.surf.
I mean, I can start. So like we joined Farcaster, like I think actually almost exactly 2 years now. At least for me, I joined later. I think I joined like right before that Game 5 like NFT for the NBA finals.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So like we're around that time now. So I think 2 years.
Channel launches. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is great. We basically like joined and we're really interested in this intersection of like AI and crypto. So that's kind of like what we've been exploring and tracking over the past like couple years. Farcaster was just really great because I think like Twitter was like mostly like just AI people, and there wasn't like a whole lot of like interesting crypto things going on there. So when I joined here and saw that like a lot of people were very, very interested in like extending crypto principles and like technology to AI, I was like, okay, this could be like a good place for us to kind of like hang out. Operator is kind of like operator lab. So like like I said before, we're working on various things, but all within that kind of like intersection. In terms of like the Solana rollout, like Linda reached out to us, and then we were like, let's just like full send it. I haven't built a frame since like literally when frames launched. And I was kind of scared because I was like, okay, like it took me forever to build a frame back then. Okay, a mini app back then. So I was like, okay, I don't know how long this is gonna take, but yeah, the experience like really was like pretty nice. And the greatest thing about this, I think, was that it surpassed our expectations in terms of like how many people were really interested in like minting the early access pass. Like that was what the mini app was. Like it was literally just like, oh, here's like an early access pass. Like we got like 1,500 mints or something.
Wow.
And that actually kind of shocked me, right? Because like that's like several multiples of 37, right? It's like a lot more people than you would expect. And yeah, I mean, like the thing we're building is trench.surf, and the goal is to basically make it really, really easy for people inside. Like if you're hanging out on Farcaster and you want to like check in on your coins, or like you kind of want to get like a notification if someone else took a trade, like whatever, there's a lot of like interesting things that you can make happen. So like the goal of trench.surf is to kind of like make that really easy. And I think Solana is like not the only place where people like do these kinds of like trenching behaviors, but considering that like a lot of like Farcasters signed up, I think a lot of people are open to kind of like funding a Solana wallet in their Farcaster like account and then like participating. So
what this is the early access pass that that mint's now closed. So what is sort of what are you getting access to? Like when is that all launching, and what can we expect in terms of, is there an impact from the social graph on what you're building?
Yeah. So originally we weren't even like we weren't kind of planning on building a more substantial mini app, but just seeing that people actually, took the time to get Sol into their wallets. I know that I think SSC or the Tapestry team like sponsored gas, so I think that was like a big activator as well. And the fact that like people actually interacted with their wallets in the product, I think was like, okay, like this might be something that as a behavior continues, right? Like there are there's essentially actions that people will take in feed, and it's pretty new. Like this hasn't really been done before. I think I think Farcaster mini apps are the first like on-chain interaction in a feed type of product. Haven't seen anything like it. So to answer your original question, we're actually building a mini app right now. It should be public deadline announcements are always a little bit tough, but should be ready by the end of the week. And it's essentially a mini app that lets you, it's just like kind of the base MVP of what we're building. It lets you see who's kind of, maybe it could be like a Circus coin in the future, but it could be like, to start, it'd be like pump.fund tokens. You can see who kind of in the social graph is actually kind of in the degenning with you, in the opportunity with you, whatever you want to call it. So I think that's kind of the base level. It's like, can we take some aspects of what other trading products have done, and kind of make it Farcaster, right?
I think that's been huge with first interface, with being able to see who you follow on Farcaster, what they're trading there, and then directly in the Farcaster app, where it'll show this, this particular token has been bought by X number of Farcasters in this past hour. And there's controversy around whether that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing. I find it interesting. Then it's on the person to DYOR. But I think it's interesting to see, why is everyone interested in this particular token? What's going on? Let me go check it out and see what's happening and what this is all about. There is that danger of people aping in without knowing what they're doing. But that's that danger anyway.
Yeah. I think on that note, right, it's like the controversy parts are like really interesting to me, because I think it has to do with like just a lack of clear definition. I think as like cringe as it may be to say, like we are actually somehow still early, even after like 10 years or whatever, because the definition of a token is like relatively unclear, right? So, you know, if you go to like one of those like e-commerce websites where it's like 700 people bought this item in the past hour, or like maybe like even there's like somehow social context attached, and it's like, oh, like I don't know any celebrity, some famous person like bought this item, and then you're like, oh, I'm gonna like buy this item before it like sells out. Like you're not, like the item comes, maybe like disappoints you, but you're not gonna be like, oh my god, this person like just like wasted all my money. But the same dollar amount, and it's like a token.
Damn you, Haley Bieber.
Just, like, roast you, right? They'll just like roast you. So I think it's interesting, but I kind of like have this view that like it's in an awkward phase, but it's not going away, because just like we're chronically online, like the digital social interactions take over like so much of your life, that if you're going to be trading coins at all, I don't see why you would be doing it without social context. I think like the vast majority of people don't like that. Funnily enough, I think the people that get copy traded are the ones who actually don't want to trade with the social context, because like you don't want to get like flamed on the timeline or something.
Right. Yeah. I've told many people, please do not copy trade me, because and also look at my wallet and you'll understand why you should not copy trade me. Occasionally it goes the other direction, but most of the time it's not going to go well. So don't do it. Yeah. Sorry, what were you going to say, Prof?
Yeah, no, I just had one thing to add, which is I think Dan casted this like a week ago, but he was like, I forget the exact words, but it's like the feed is coming to the wallet and the wallet is coming to the feed, something like that. And I like Phantom is adding a social feed, right? So it's interesting that they're trying to also bootstrap it, but I mean, definitely bullish on Farcaster on that front, because this is actually a social experience, right? Like Phantom, it's like I don't know how many like Phantom wallets I have. Like it's just like they're ephemeral, right? Like there's no actual like persistent social identity.
I think that's I'm surprised, maybe not surprised, but it would be interesting to see Phantom integrate Farcaster into the wallet, like the way that Coinbase is doing. And it would be, so it would be interesting to see that happen in Zapper, right? Zapper, I think, too.
Yep.
Interesting to see different wallets and the different audiences that brings, but having those overlaps all being Farcaster could be a very interesting sort of moment, and pulling that all together. Go ahead,
Linda. What do you think? What do you think is the likelihood that Phantom adds a Farcaster feed to their wallet?
I mean, it's hard for me to say like anytime soon, but long run, I'm really optimistic that these wallets will be pulling in some Farcaster social feed. It's so hard to build a social network. I mean, Dan and Varun and the team early on like spent 5 years grinding to get the early user base. And so if you can leverage someone else's work to now bootstrap your own social feed, like that's to me a no-brainer. So I think it's only a matter of time, personally.
She knows.
She knows.
I don't know anything.
We say things. Sometimes we just make things up. So going back, actually, you just mentioned, I know you were just at Accelerate, and so that made me think, like, did you have any conversations with different wallets, like Phantom or anyone who's, other Solana wallets or anything like that?
Not at that one. I think I was more focused just on like the mini apps and our wallet experience, but long run, like definitely want to be having those conversations. I mean, have like casually pinged people in the past, but we didn't even have Solana integration back then. So I think now is a different story, but we want to like, I mean, my thought is just like really like foster the Solana ecosystem first and really like showcase what we have before like really approaching some of these teams.
Awesome. Adrienne, what have I missed in terms of what you wanted to ask our guests and sort of what's been happening around Solana?
I always love like just the dev questions. So I was just curious, did you guys had you been building on kind of EVM or Ethereum before, and curious, what the dev experience is like building Solana, like on Solana versus Ethereum?
We started like I guess we've like tried on base. We haven't built like too many like on-chain things before. So like we pretty much joined Farcaster and then people are like, oh, look at all these things we built on base. So like, okay, like I guess we'll build something on base. And then we even built like a thing on the DGen L3 where like every question you ask to like a model that like is like put on chain for verifiability or like whatever. I should probably like do some. I should find that rap DGen. It's like somewhere. But yeah, after that, and then like we just like moved to Solana. But in terms of like the low level stuff, I think it's like we kind of live in this like incredible time right now because I think it's probably the first time in a long time where you really can just like build apps. You can like focus on just building the app.
You can just, is what you're saying is you can just build things?
Yeah, basically, right? We got Claude 4, we got Claude 4 Opus. But yeah, like it was like really easy for me to just kind of like take the docs, throw it into like Cursor, learn about how Solana programs and stuff is structured, and then just pretty much get started, right? So like that was like not a huge, it was really not like a big psychological shift from one to the other. I think like Nikki is probably like someone who like actually knows like all of the details. I would consider myself more of an expert Claude 4 wrangler. So yeah, if you have any thoughts, Nikki.
I honestly, I envy that because not having to rewire your brain after coming, like I was an EVM dev since Ethereum came out essentially. So I've built a lot on L1 and of course on base and some of the other L2s. I also worked on another L1 that was not EVM based at all. It was UTXO based, similar to like a Bitcoin network. So I have all of these blockchain infrastructure wires in my head that are definitely all tangled together now after 12 years of doing this. So then like going to Solana after being on the EVM for so long, you're just like, there's a lot of differences in architecture. And, you know, I think even Jesse the other day, he posted about like, why is it so expensive to deploy smart contracts? Like little trade-offs like that, wrapping your head around them when you've already had your head in this other space for so long is actually quite difficult. Like you coming into it super fresh like that was probably actually really sort of a level up or benefit to you. But yeah, I mean, there's some glass to chew for sure whenever you're learning anything new. But once you get it, Solana lends itself really well to a lot of consumer applications. But and I don't know if you found this, the consumers on the chain, like each chain has its own sort of culture where I think Base has a very builder centric culture. They're very like, they're long-term thinkers to some extent. They're happy to support people who are developers and things like that. Whereas Solana, and this isn't a negative, it's just the way it is very much more speculative. Like it's more of a casino. A lot of the applications lend themselves to trading speculative assets and things like that. Plus they had the most liquidity this cycle. So I think that is also probably a reason for this. You know, they had that huge drop to like $8, right? Now they're back at even now $160K or $160. So you have a lot of liquidity in that network, similar to what we had in 2021 with Ethereum.
I do regret a little bit of fading when I was looking at
a lot of people do.
that, you know, or it didn't even get lower than that at one point. It was very low.
It was dead. Like
it was dead, and I really thought it was dead. So I was like, there's no coming back from SBF. That's really the reason. So I really didn't think it would, but I appreciate, the ones who are faithful believers and kept it going, because it's pretty impressive to see what's happened on the chain in just the past couple of years. It's incredible. But great point about the liquidity. That makes a huge difference. And we've had this sort of, ETH becoming a stable coin situation, which has, definitely changed things a little bit in terms of that aspect. In terms of the speculative act, in terms of the building aspect, it's been guns blazing, incredible, amazing in terms of EVM chains, but huge difference in terms of that speculation side for sure. By the way, you have a shout out from Ben Broad here to your earlier question. Launching and trading on Circus is a great experience, just volume dependent. However, if your token catches bids, the rewards are significant. So Nice
that's
shout
a good
out there.
point. Thanks,
Yeah.
Ben. Yeah, we give 70% of the trading fees to the creator of the token, and
Nice.
they can claim it at any time. So I forgot to mention that. Appreciate that, Ben.
Have you seen a lot of activity so far on Circus? I haven't had much time to like really play around with it, but how's it going?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, we've had these couple of big moments at Accelerate.
Right.
The server pretty much crashed like almost instantly. Like Linda got on stage and I'm in the back of the room, like trying to watch her and also like dealing with all this craziness. So that was really fun. And, you know, I think we almost tripled our user base just that day. So that was fantastic.
Wow.
And then, of course, airdrop day, we also saw
Right.
intense activity. People are launching tokens. People are experimenting. A couple have graduated, like actually bonded out and graduated to the Meteora DEX.
Awesome.
I think it's still early because our focus is so heavily on Farcaster and that community is still building. I think will grow as Farcaster's Solana community grows. You know, there is a dApp that you can use outside the Farcaster context, but we're leaning very heavily into the Farcaster side. So
it seems like there's almost like a little, I don't know, flywheel of where if you have more people launching mini apps on Solana, then they might launch a token that goes with it using Circus, and like this whole like sort of connective threads that just need to get rolling in order for that to happen. And then on top of that, and then you'll have Operator, which will be reporting what everyone's buying from Circus, and it's all happening.
Nikki, should people, by the way, like, you know, we used to kind of like always ask the question of like, don't launch a token unless you really know exactly what it's going to do.
What would the token do?
Have your full roadmap, right? Then we saw all the meme coin launchers and clankers and content coins. Should people be thinking about, and I know you kind of talk about the 1 degree closer towards something that is, I forget what word you used, but
transparent or sustainable or reliable or in any way.
Away from kind of zero sum. But does that mean, should people be thinking about Circus more like a meme coin launcher, in that like I don't need to think too deeply about something, I can kind of experiment? Because that's what I thought was nice about the clankers. Just kind of play around and it's okay. Or should there be a little more thought into it before launching?
Yeah, you know, I think we're in a place now as an industry where coins are quite ephemeral. You know, there's people that do build projects around their tokens, and Clanker's done a really good job of cultivating that. Again, I think that's also a testament to the way that base culture works. We haven't quite seen that. I know Believe is trying to do that a little bit with like Web 2 projects. I would say, you know, Circus is essentially brand new. It's 2 weeks old. So go on, try launching a token. No one's expecting you to like commit your life to a token you randomly launch.
Update the DEX, bro.
Right, exactly. And the nice thing with Circus is like, you don't have to necessarily update the DEX because there's a token page that's automatically created for you. You have a dev page. So there's these little things that kind of like bridge the gap. But
that's really huge, by the way. I think we underplay that. And the same thing with Clanker too. It was like having this whole page that's all like you launch it and automatically all this infrastructure is there for promoting and supporting the token. Like that wasn't possible like 6-8 months ago. Like it didn't happen. So that's a huge thing that makes it way more open to experimentation, which I think is great, because that's how you figure out what works and what doesn't. Like until we do have millions and millions of tokens, we don't know what's really good and what's not. Like you have to do all that.
And everyone's experimenting in this space. It's pretty much like it's like a fractal of the design space, because it's literally constantly evolving and there's really no right answer. You can constantly iterate and iterate and iterate until something catches on. Maybe it catches on for a little while. Maybe it is the end all be all. Unlikely, but that's what's beautiful about like the token launching space. I think, you know, creating another launcher is a meme. It's a circus, but like, I like the design space because there are many answers to the same question, and we're constantly getting a little bit closer to making a system where people aren't just getting rugged every 5 minutes. And that's really the
goal. And I think it was really smart to tie it to Farcaster too, because we didn't have a Solana token launcher. Like there is nothing built in already. There's nothing like that already. Whereas, yes, people may still be using Pump.Fun in other spaces. It's way more likely that somebody launching something on who's active on Farcaster launching a token on Solana, if they're going to do it, they're going to use Circus. So that's, exactly. I think, huge opportunity for a new market, which makes a lot of sense.
You get it, Prof.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. If you launched it just in general to, in competing with Pump, it's a much harder climb rather than targeting. I want to just shout out this question. Whoops, I lost it. From Emma. She asked, what is and I think this is mostly for Linda, most used mini apps on Farcaster and the best mini apps, if not the most used, or maybe it's for each person. Like, what are your individual most used mini apps and favorite mini apps? Actually, let's ask all of you, but I'll start with Linda.
The most used, I mean, like everybody, like mini word. I've actually just been practicing like New York Times crossword puzzles on the side so I can get better at it, because the social graph really like forces me to improve because I don't want to rank so much below everybody else. So
using the New York Times as training ground, that's hilarious.
Oh yeah, like I'm pretty competitive with that stuff, so I'm gonna get better, because I my times were like 5 minutes, 6 minutes.
Mine sucks. Yes, that's the range I'm in, and I'm fine with it. But yes, that's where I'm at.
Yeah. And then best, I mean, there's so many good mini apps right now. I mean, the one that my focus this week was actually bringing in a lot of the Monad community. So we had 10 Monad mini apps. Shout out to Sperm Games, Sperm Survival. They were such a meme. But yeah, I think it's like the goal is we're just bringing a lot of these like different communities, and therefore like more users, like user growth. And now there's just more people that can use your mini apps, and now you can just like build sustainable businesses. So big fan of like just embracing these communities.
By the way, this was hilarious. I'm looking forward to your autobiography someday to see how you explain this, along with your various, Dickbot also casted something about that fairly recently, how often that comes up in a conversation, in a work conversation. So yeah, yesterday, this is from Linda, yesterday for work, I was DMing people about empty, which is schlumps. And now I'm DMing people about Sperm Game. Yeah. That sounds right. Yep. Sounds right. For the rest of you, what are your favorite mini apps, and what, especially if they're on Solana, if there's anything that's on Solana that you're seeing that you really like, but any particular mini apps that you enjoy the most? Let me go to Kevin first, Entropy Bender.
I haven't seen like too many Solana apps. Like literally, like I just tried out Circus. So
yeah,
shout out to Circus, I guess.
So we're making that our favorite Solana mini app. There you go.
Yeah. In terms of like overall favorites, I was pretty addicted to that base drop thing where you like merge the different coins.
Love that game.
Where like I would like start playing it in the bathroom or whatever, and then just like be sitting there for 40 minutes. And then I'll get up and like, oh,
too much information, Kevin. Too much information.
But like, it's actually so addicting, and it's like so frustrating when you're like trying to get the physics of it correct, but like it doesn't like, I don't know. There's like something interesting about that game where it's like it's a lot more fun than a lot of the other games I played. I also really like there's like the Monad one yesterday, I think, that I tried, the 2048 one, where it was like it was like a transaction like every move you make, and I thought like it was like the notifications are kind of like weird to see that popping up, but I was like, this is actually like really cool, because like my friend has been building a fully on-chain game for a while, and it like I've seen him like go through like the sheer architectural just hell of trying to get these actions to be snappy and like cool and whatever. But yeah, this one was like literally like you're just swiping constantly, making moves every half second, and it's like instant. The transactions are like updating like instantly. So I thought that was like a really, really neat mechanic. Yeah, I'll probably like say those two are Oh, and then I've been really loving Pine Tree. I just like pull up like Kia's like sets in the like right corner. I think it's really improved by the fact that like you can refresh and like basically navigate around the Farcaster app, and the mini app doesn't like have to refresh or like change, right? It just like stays there right in the corner.
Yeah, and I saw you cast about that, Kevin, yesterday about would you have Pine Tree on your bottom right and Claude in your left or something?
Yes, exactly.
All right, we lost Prof. She's on vacay, so I assume it's a Wi-Fi thing or something. The 2048, did you guys all see that one too? Yesterday, it's on Monad. So I think people are asking, if you go to the mini apps tab, the editor's choice is Discover Monad mini app. So if you click that, you guys will see you can play 2048, and you fund it. You have to like fund your wallet. You fund the game first with a little bit of your Mon token, and then it kind of just drips out, and every action is on chain. I was playing that too. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah, and it's cool because Monad Foundation / team built that, so they're like very like all in on. I mean, not all in, but like they're very motivated to like build on Farcaster.
Yeah. Well, I remember when I was like thinking about when I was joining Farcaster and hearing about kind of the different decentralized social options, and my memory at the time, I think I was looking at Lens, and is Lens the ones whose content was all like on chain, like the cat, like, and I was like, oh, that sounds annoying. Like the extra friction to do everything on chain. So like from a gaming perspective, I guess that was like 2048. Every time you're doing something, it's going on chain, but it doesn't feel like it. And it's like tiny microtransactions. So it's maybe that's the future.
Still testnet though, so you know.
Oh yeah,
qualify that.
So it's really cheap.
Well, it felt, it feels it. But even then, I kept having to like, it was like you have to fund. It kept having to fund the game. It's like it felt like an arcade. You got to put the quarter in, and then you play for 30 seconds, and you run out, and you didn't even win or lose. I just had to keep taking my money, which is not real money. It's on testnet, but.
Sorry about that. My battery was dying, and then I
blamed it on Wi-Fi.
I was like, I was watching it, and I was like, no, I still have time. No, I do not. Sorry about that.
Prompt, do you have a favorite mini app?
Yeah, it's hard to choose. I mean, I think it's I've used Paragraph. I'm looking at the list right now. I think Ponder's cool. I think Amps is cool. And yeah, this 2048 thing, like I feel like it's easy to get cynical about crypto and be like, oh, it's just another L1 river, but it's actually super crazy to have sub-millisecond transactions experience like this. So yeah, just excited for like, I guess like what the implications of it, right? It's I don't think it's like fully. I don't think like I think we're so like deep in the mix that it's like hard to like I mean, we're on like a Farcaster podcast right now, so it's like we're so deep in the mix. It's like it's hard to see, but I think it's going to be really cool and crazy. Oh, and Bankers, I tried out Bankers new mini app yesterday. Yeah. Super cool. I think in feed like chat. I mean, I'm biased, but I think it's super cool.
Deployer's just cooking so hard. It's amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm playing 2048 right now.
Oh, Noise. I forgot about Noise. That
Noise.
One's great too.
Noise.
Yeah, Noise. Yeah. I was trying to remember, but yeah.
Because you were thinking when he said he was playing 2048, you're like, Noise.
Noise. Yeah, exactly.
I think that's a sign it's time to start wrapping up when we start losing people to go with, and everyone's just playing mini apps.
They're all playing games now. They're all like, I gotta go try out that mini app that Kevin does on the toilet.
Such a great pitch.
Let me go check that out. His favorite one. This is amazing. This is a great chat. I'm really excited to see what you're all building. And Linda, I can't shout you out enough for everything that you've been doing. It's amazing to see the builders getting more sort of love and hand-holding and just making their experiences that much better is incredible. So excited to see what comes next, maybe later today.
Maybe some infra issues right now, but yeah, thanks so much for having me and us, and yeah, we're a huge fan of you guys as well.
Well, thanks so much. And one last shout out to what we have going on tomorrow, and that is the community talks from FarCon will be streamed tomorrow at noon Eastern, and then we'll drop them in all the places, so you'll be able to watch the recordings after the fact, but we'll be in the chat talking about the community talks. And then Friday at noon, we'll have the base talks, the Coinbase wallet talk from Jesse, as well as interviews with Jesse and Chintan. So that is Friday. Anything else, Adrienne, before we wrap?
No, just thanks to everyone for joining. And thanks guys for coming to talk about experience. Launching Solana mini apps on Farcaster.
Yeah, thanks so much. And I gotta go launch a token on Circus. That's what I have to do. I gotta put it on my list of things to do.
My favorite thing about this conversation today was hearing Entropy Bender talk about being scared to launch a mini app on Farcaster, because Kevin is the one I credit him completely for GMFC 101. And I don't know if you know this, but when I was talking about building an AI bot, and I was like, how would you even do it? It was just like, it's really easy. And I was like, I'm sure it's not easy. He's like, yeah, you can do it in 2 days. And he got on the phone with me and was like, here's how you do it. And it took about 5 days. But it was like, Kevin, I've said this before, but thank you for that conversation, because you gave me so much confidence, pointed me in the right direction. And I learned a ton from you. But I liked hearing you be scared of mini apps, because I built one recently. So now I feel like I can tell you it's not that hard.
Now she can help you. There you go.
Yeah, it's really not that hard.
It's not that hard, after she's complained about how hard it was.
So hard.
But anyway, it was so hard. All right. And with that, everyone, we will see you tomorrow for the FarCon Community Talks Watch Party, and we'll be back on Friday with GM Farcaster at 8:30 a.m. And with that, everyone, thanks so much. And with that, we say bye-bye.